There's an element of it seeming maybe a little hoardy, but for a personal wardrobe, just like, this means nothing to me. That's how luxurious, that's kind of how I feel when I wear this dress. I think if you can't find a way to wear this on a regular basis, just don't have it in your closet. I think it's that moment you touch a piece that you either go, oh, that's stunning, or you think, ugh.
Welcome to Off the Hanger, the fashion podcast where we delve deep into our guests' wardrobes, finding out their favourite fashion pieces and the stories behind them. This week's guest is owner of Nude Vintage, Hannah Ford. But before we dive into this brilliant chat, I just wanted to give you a little update. I'm aware that there's quite a lot of you who prefer to listen rather than watch, and I feel that sometimes you might miss out on seeing the gorgeous pieces and the fabulous style that the guests bring. So each week I'm going to be creating a Pinterest board, which you'll be able to find the link for in the description notes below, and then you can go off in your own free time, maybe with a cup of tea and a nice biscuit, and have a little look at some of the pieces that we've been chatting about. Good morning, Hannah. It is lovely to have you as a guest on Off the Hanger. I am very, very excited to find out all about your wardrobe. I can see your beautiful rails sitting there behind you.
I've got lots of pieces pulled to talk through, so plenty to show you.
And your brand is all about vintage, isn't it? So I'm guessing that there's going to be quite a few vintage gems in amongst this collection.
Yes, so I've got Nude Vintage, but vintage to me is predominantly 80s and 90s. But Nude Vintage, we've got a lot of new pieces as well. So my wardrobe is a combination of vintage pieces, but I have a lot of new pieces. I do have some high street pieces, but what I think is fairly unique about my wardrobe is every single item in my wardrobe is pre-loved. I don't have anything that I've bought new. So even though some things are from new brands, they're all pre-loved items, which I'm passionate about.
That's incredible. What an amazing achievement to have that in your wardrobe. I'm assuming, though, because I think most people's first thoughts will be, does she buy new underwear, though?
That's the one thing. Socks and underwear.
You can have a pass on those. That's completely acceptable to be buying those brand new. Your sustainability rating will not drop at all by having new underwear.
I'll have a 99%.
I think that is to be highly commended. Nobody wants to be wearing somebody else's old pants. Definitely not.
Could you imagine if I was that committed, though?
Actually, Emma, I'd just like to let you know that all of my underwear
every single piece.
Every single piece also pre-loved. Somebody's feet have previously lived in my socks.
That's right.
Yeah. It would not. It would be a very interesting start to a podcast. That's
well, that's true. That's true. Next time, I'll try that. I'll take that away as a challenge.
Don't. You're fine as you are. Did you always love fashion?
I don't know if I've always loved fashion, but I've always been very passionate about what I wear. And I don't think I recognized it as like, I'm a very stylish person or I love fashion in general. I think I can remember back to being a little girl, I was really particular about everything that I wore, but everything I wanted to wear was hyper feminine, which is so not me today. I don't know where I got that from. I don't think that was an influence from anyone in my life, but everything had to be skirts and dresses, and I was obsessed with the little plastic little girl high heels. So I think that just developed into, as I was a teenager, just really, really caring about everything that I wore. And I think in early adulthood, I thought, wait a minute, this is fashion. I like Fashion Week and I like my clothes and I like reading all of the magazines. So I think it just turned into that over time.
Is there a particular piece from your childhood that you always remember?
A few things. So when I was little, there's a picture of me that I have that is, I was in Nevada, so I'm from America. I lived in Nevada and then I grew up mostly in California. And it's from our house in Nevada. And I'm wearing a red and white striped bathing suit and I loved it. I'm so happy in it, and I'm like in my parents' bohemian living room in my little bathing suit. And I think that's like the earliest thing that I remember having that I absolutely loved. And then they don't sound super exciting fashion pieces, but when you're a little girl, you just get attached to these things. And it was the plastic high heels. I was obsessed with them. And I think that was the thing that in my mind, I felt like this is elegance, this is glamour.
This is the pinnacle of fashion. I am
I
naming this.
believed it in my heart. This is luxury. And I would wear them everywhere. And I remember there was a specific day where I went with my dad and my brother to the beach. And it wasn't like a typical LA beach. This was like a stormy, proper beach. And the tide was out, and I insisted on wearing my plastic heels. And I remember I lost my foot sunk into the sand when the tide was out, and I lost one of my plastic heels in the sand. And it was crushing. It was heartbreaking.
Do you think that's what triggered your journey into sustainability? You're like, oh no,
Yeah.
I've littered on the beach.
Yeah. Some other little girl came across it, and that was her first pre-loved piece.
I wonder if it was like, yeah, some sort of Cinderella moment.
Yeah.
She was like, I must find the other shoe.
This is the perfect shoe. So yeah, I think those are the earliest things I can remember being really excited about my personal clothing items that I picked out and I found that your mom didn't buy or pick out for you. Um, but where my pre-loved sustainable vintage passion came from is I come from a family full of women, and my mom, she has about 8 siblings, predominantly sisters. And when I was little, they would drag me along to the big American thrift shops. So we would be in a thrift store all day Saturday. And I actually, at the time, I thought it was so boring and I hated it. And everything was old and dusty. And I thought, this is just the worst. It was my least favorite way to spend the day. But I would always come out with some sort of gem, like a feather boa. I think at one point, it's not a clothing item, but I got obsessed with a bar, like a 1960s bar that I put in my room, and I stocked with soda pop and like little juice beverages. But I think that kind of stuck. So once I became an adult, I actually realized that formed the way that I think about buying clothes and the way that I think about fashion in general. I didn't spend all of my time in brand new stores or in the mall with my parents growing up. It was always a thrift store.
Yeah, so I think that obviously has a very big influence on you. I think because it's also passing down the technique and the tips. Because I think a thrift store can be quite a daunting, overwhelming experience if you've not spent a lot of time in there before, if you don't know what you're looking for, if you don't know
Mm-hmm.
how to find the bargains. So I think the fact that you were doing it from childhood, whether you liked it or not, you were picking up all of those bits of information along the way.
Do you know what? I never thought about it like that, but that's such a good point because I do speak to people now, and for me, it's just so natural. Like my favorite place is just rummaging through a thrift store, through an estate sale, a pile of junk. Like I just love rummaging through things. And when I speak to people, so many of them are just horrified by the idea of rummaging, or they just don't know where to start. They're like, I love the idea of going to a charity shop, but where do I start? How do I do it? What do I look for? And I think that's exactly it. I just grew up for hours and hours and hours just combing through thrift stores, whether I wanted to or not. And now it's like second nature to me. But that's with my brand Nude. It's very curated because I'm the sort of person that can spend hours and hours and hours in a day rummaging through things and going through things and finding just the right pieces. I feel like it's really nice when you have a curated option, when you want secondhand and you want sustainable, but you want what you want. You don't necessarily want to spend all of the time searching for pieces.
And I think that must be why you would have like so many customers and repeat customers, because they love your aesthetic and the style of pieces that you find and specialize in. It then makes it very easy for them to shop. And I think it is a really big developing thing to shop more sustainably, but people are always going to want to take that easy way out, that shortcut, to find the perfect piece. And when you have somebody like you, you're basically doing all the hard work for them.
Yeah.
They just turn up to you and go, oh, amazing, I'm really glad that you spent hours and hours and you eventually found this thing and now it's coming to live in my wardrobe and all I've done is click buy.
Yeah, and I think that's great though, because if you know what you like, but you don't necessarily want to go out there and spend loads and loads of time searching for it, I think it's just as valid to just go online and search for something that's vintage or pre-loved and find the piece you like. And exactly like you said, there's a definite vibe, I think, and style of the pieces that I look for and that I buy. And I don't always have a set of rules. I do very much operate on vibes, and I'm like, this is the right vibe and this is the right feel. And I think that people align with that. And so they know that you can go to my shop every day and there's going to be new pieces, but you're going to see something really unique and interesting and different. And so I think you still get that feeling of like hunting and discovering, because there's new pieces that go up all the time. So you can still feel like you're discovering something, which I think is kind of a part of the excitement of secondhand and vintage and pre-loved. You're still discovering exciting things. I don't know if you necessarily go on the H&M website and you're like, this is a one-of-a-kind amazing thing that I've never seen before. Sometimes, but
very, very rarely. What's the oldest thing in your wardrobe?
So this one I thought about in two different ways. One, having vintage pieces, I thought, ooh, what is the oldest thing I have in my wardrobe? And I think the literal oldest item that I have are Victorian pieces and linens and things like that I'll sort of hoard and pull out at different times of year. But I'm going to dip down here. I've got these cowboy boots. So these are the oldest to me, the oldest in my possession. So I don't know if you can see them very well, but I've got these suede leather cowboy boots that I absolutely love. So these came from my aunt, Zebby. And she is in the 90s when I was growing up, she was sort of the epitome of cool. In my mind, but even thinking back, not even just in my mind, I think even thinking back, she drove a Thunderbird and it had flames up the side.
Amazing.
And her husband, he had like a yellow pickup truck with roll bars and the lights on the top, and they were very much like the epitome of the 90s couple, I think. And these were her cowboy boots, these suede ones. And so they've come into my possession, and they're something that she used to wear in the 90s. And I can just imagine her in these cowboy boots and her Thunderbird, just, I don't know, doing something amazing and super cool. So these are the oldest to me that I have in my collection.
They're gorgeous. And obviously such a big trend right now as well.
Yes.
I think that's great with fashion, that it is quite circular. It does tend to come back round. So if you're able to kind of hang on to those pieces, at some point, again, they're going to have that glory day of everybody going, oh my God, they're amazing. Where are they from?
Yeah, exactly that. And I've had a few pieces of advice from antique dealers and vintage sellers, kind of the old school ones that have been doing, secondhand selling and vintage selling for years and years. And one of the things that I thought was the most interesting from them is exactly that. They said, I just get pieces and I hold on to them and I never get rid of them and I just keep them forever. There's an element of it seeming maybe a little hoardy, but for a personal wardrobe. But I think when you have those pieces that are sentimental or really amazing quality, these are authentic cowboy boots, they're real leather, they're amazing quality. These are the sorts of things that you can hang on to and they will just loop back around. And you will find that there's a point when you're obsessed with them and you're wearing them and you love them and you want to pull them out of your closet every day. And there's a point where maybe they're going to get pushed to the back of your closet for a few years. But then their time will come again, basically.
It will, and I'm glad for it. What is the piece in your wardrobe you would say gets the most compliments?
Ooh, okay. Now, don't judge me because I haven't steamed it. But you can tell that I love this green color in particular. This dress, and it just goes on and on and on. This is And Another Stories, and Other Stories, sorry. And this one is just the most beautiful green dress, and it's so long, and I'm quite tall. I'm about 5'9", and this drags on the floor behind me, and it has a slit in the back, and it's so long, and I just feel like, in the 1920s when you had that carefree, effortless fashion style, and they would just drag their fur coat behind them, just like, this means nothing to me. That's how luxurious. That's kind of how I feel when I wear this dress. It's backless. It's so long. It just drags behind me on the floor. And I would say because of the color as well, this is the thing that I get the most compliments on when I wear. And I also feel the best in it as well. And I think it's probably my confidence in it that gets me the most compliments as well, which is really important.
I agree. It's always that combination of how you feel in something and how a piece looks that then just really ramps up the compliments. Obviously, I adore that because I am a green obsessive. My collection of green dresses is excessive, let's say, and I just can't help myself when it comes to a green dress. I love them. That one's beautiful, but it's that length. I think I really don't like it when you get something that's a maxi dress that isn't a maxi dress. And
Yes.
if you're setting your maxi, I kind of want you to be sweeping the floor. I need that drama. I want that look. If it's a weird kind of I don't want to say ankle skimmer because I do think they do have their place because you can wear cool shoes with them and things. But if I want a full maxi, I want it to be properly,
Totally agree
sweeping
with
on behind
you.
it.
Completely agree with you. Yeah, and being quite tall, it's so difficult for me. And it's a combination buying secondhand and being so tall. It's tricky to make sure that you're getting the right lengths. And this is why I think knowing your measurements and looking at a garment's measurements when you're purchasing it is so important. And I also, if I'm buying anything directly from another person, so if it's not in my hand and I'm buying it online, if it doesn't have the full length measurements, I'm always asking, well, how tall are you? What's
Yeah.
your height? And where does this fall on you? Because the amount of times if I do not check measurements on things and I order things online, they'll be too short for me and they won't quite be the right length. But if I can find something in person that's long enough for me, I'll buy it right away. I'll buy it immediately because it just hits the right length. And yeah, I'm with you. I hate when it falls at just the wrong place. It's not
I just
flattering.
don't want it to sit in a weird place. And also, I think I'd rather buy something that's excessively long and have it taken up so that it's perfect rather than
Yes.
having something that's too short, which you then can't really do anything with.
Yeah, yeah. And I am a fan of the dramatic in clothing, I think. I like basic pieces and I like just good quality pieces, but I love when something has a hint of drama to it. And with this dress, because it is so long, I do sort of, if I'm walking in it, I have to lift it a little bit and walk and it drapes. And it's not the sort of piece you can wear to the office or when you're running around for the day. But if you're somewhere and you're having a cocktail and you're sort of holding the end of your dress, I do think it's quite fabulous. So this is one that I haven't taken up because I like that extra little bit of drama that it has.
I'm with you. It sounds fabulous. What's the most expensive piece in your wardrobe?
Ooh, the most expensive piece. This is my most expensive item. Now, I'm not someone who looks for price tags, labels, that necessarily thinks if I have something really expensive and really luxurious, then this is nice. I trust my gut and I like to buy pieces that I feel really good about. And if they are quite expensive, I'll go for it. But if they're really affordable, it doesn't devalue the piece in my mind at all. But this is something, my Louis Vuitton bag, that I felt like, okay, this is something I can wear, I like to say every day. This is something that I can wear every day. This is something that I think it's glamorous, but it's also very wearable. And I just love it. So this is my biggest investment piece for sure.
But I think that's lovely that you've gone for a piece that you can wear every day. I think quite often when we look at investment pieces, they tend to be the special occasion pieces, and
Mm-hmm.
then you just don't get your money's worth out of them. The price per wear on them ends up being appalling because it might come out of your wardrobe once a year, if that. Whereas I think something like that that's got that versatility, it is worth spending that money on because you are really going to get your money's worth out of it.
Yeah, that's exactly it. That's something that I would never invest in a piece that's hyper trendy. I think you have to be so careful because I think back, Louis Vuitton in particular, I think back to the 2000s when I was in high school and there was that white with the multicolor, which is looping back again. So everyone that hung on to that is happy that they did. But I think I wouldn't invest in anything a substantial amount in anything that isn't classic, that you can't wear all the time. I don't believe in the one day items. I think if you can't find a way to wear this on a regular basis, just don't have it in your closet. Like that prom dress that you think, I'll be able to wear this again to a party one day. This will loop back. I think just get rid of it. And this is something that I feel like I could wear this every single day. And it's utilitarian as well. There's a degree of I can throw it over my shoulder. So even if I'm rummaging and hunting for things, it's still fairly practical. So I think, yeah, if you're going to invest in a piece, invest in something that you can wear all the time. And I also believe in I wear things until they literally fall apart. And my mom teases me about that a lot. If something is my favorite and if I really love it, I will wear it and wear it and wear it. I don't believe in, I've been photographed in this or seen in this and I don't want to wear it again. I'm like, if this is comfortable and I love how I look in it and this is just something that I love and I feel confident in, you will see me in it 100 times because I love it until the seams start coming out and then I have to I have to retire it eventually.
And we should normalize that. We should
Yeah.
absolutely normalize that. Just wear the clothes that you own over and over and over again. It doesn't matter if you posted a picture on social media and you were already wearing it. Just keep wearing it rather than going, oh, I need to have a new outfit every time I'm going to any sort of event or any time I'm posting a picture on Instagram.
Yeah.
What? Sorry, go on.
No, I was just going to say, I think having a uniform as well, it almost gives you a sort of identity and brand as just a person. So when you wear the same sorts of outfits, the same pieces, and you mix them up all the time, it gives you a uniform, it gives you a brand, it gives you a specific style identity. So instead of feeling like I have to change things out all the time and look different every day, looking relatively uniform and the same, I think it does give you a stronger style identity.
So, what is the newest piece you've got in your wardrobe? Obviously, it doesn't have to be, it's not going to be brand new from a shop, but the newest piece to you.
So, the newest piece, well, one, again, I don't have it to hand, but one piece that I just bought, just bought, are my 90s Ralph Lauren sunglasses, which I'm obsessed with. And I can just see um, Gwyneth Paltrow in the 90s. I mean, she's a little bit, you might love her or hate her now, but in the 90s with her little Ralph Lauren sunglasses, I absolutely love them. I'm obsessed with them. But this is actually just a pajama set. And this I love. This is one of my newer pieces. And funny enough, this is one of my most sentimental pieces. And it's not for any particular reason other than this is really sentimental to me because these are so comfortable. And I just went on a business trip and it was so long and it was so exhausting. And by the time I got back, I was overstimulated. It was great, but I was overstimulated and I was wiped out. And these were the first things that I put on when I got back. And they're from H&M Home. But if you come across their pajamas in particular, I highly recommend it. They are secondhand, but they're heavy weight. They come with the bottoms. I bought them in about 2 or 3 sizes up. So they're huge and billowing when I wear them. And again, this is one of those things. If I could wear like these pajamas and my bag just out on an everyday basis.
I was literally about to ask, are you wearing these out as a co-ord? Because I totally would be. I would be wearing those out with some cute sandals or a little heel and a nice bag because the print is beautiful.
Isn't it just, I love these. And I don't wear these out. And funny enough, these really, I think, are made to be worn out. They are pajamas, but the quality and attention to detail put into these, the intention behind them is to be pajamas, but to be able to wear them out. And I don't. I wear them in and I sleep in them because I was listening to another podcast recently. And they were saying how, these are too nice to wear to bed. These pajamas, I spent however much money on them and they're just too nice to wear to bed, and I wear them out and I wear them to a cocktail party, which I love, by the way. And I think that's a fabulous way to wear them. But it made me think, they're not too nice for me to wear to bed. I think if you are sleeping in something beautiful and you feel luxurious and they're so nice and soft, I want that luxury, whether I'm out, whether I'm in, if I'm going to bed. They just make me feel fancy when I'm walking around the house. So yeah, I wear these to bed. I am pajama obsessed. I have many, many sets. But this is my newest and my favorite set. You can see how just draping they are.
They're great. But I think it's the intention behind it, isn't it? It's the intention of, are you wearing a piece for you and how it makes you feel, at which point you can flounce around the house feeling fancy in fancy pajamas, or are you wearing a piece for the intention of the reaction it's going to get from other people, of how other people are going to perceive it and they're going to think it's cool and they look nice. And whilst I appreciate you might be wearing them out because they are just super comfortable and you look and feel great in them, I'm with you. I don't believe that because something is really nice and really fancy, it shouldn't be just for you. I think that's the whole point of shopping. It's just for us. It's not for anybody else.
Yeah, there's this one here, which is along the similar sort of vein. This is a Japanese kimono robe, and it's black, and it's very, very, very long and draping. And I like, when I'm feeling extra fabulous, I like to put this on and just wear it around the house. And this is just my everyday relaxing sort of robe. But I do totally agree with that. I think I had a lot of, as everybody did, had a lot of time to think during COVID. And I noticed that I was really dressing for other people pre-COVID. I worked in an office and every day I would get dressed and I would sort of put things together based on what I was doing that day, not based on necessarily how I felt or what I wanted to wear or what I wanted to dress. It was, okay, do I have a meeting and what am I doing today and who am I meeting with? And I noticed I was sort of matching styles with other people. Oh, I'm going to meet them, so I'll dress in this sort of way, or I'm doing this, so I'm going to dress in that sort of way. And it wasn't a unique style to me necessarily. It was just dressing for other people and events in the day. And during COVID, I started to think, what is in my closet? I don't want to wear any of this. This isn't comfortable. I don't even think I like it very much. So there were so many things I would just pull out of my closet and think, I'm never going to wear this. But also, I think I ran into the issue that a lot of people did, which was I didn't have anything comfortable to wear. I realized when I took all of the office wear, the cocktail wear, the running around, in the city center wear, I didn't have anything comfortable for me that I could be in the house in, that I could lounge in. I immediately went to sweatpants like everybody else did, which I love. Don't get me wrong. I'm obsessed with sweatpants still. But that's when I started to think, what can I wear for myself that's comfortable, but I also feel really beautiful and I feel luxurious just for myself. I'm not in sweatpants at home and then I'm stylish out of the home. What makes me feel really good and comfortable when I'm just around myself? And it makes me feel valued, like I'm valuing myself and I care about myself, not just I'm only valuing myself when it's perceived by other people. And I think it's really important to start thinking in that way. And when I did, I filled my wardrobe with beautiful pajamas and kimono robes. But I love it now, and everything's really comfortable and wearable as well, but you also feel a little luxurious.
I think that is such an incredibly important point that you've raised there, that you've mentioned. We shouldn't be dressing for other people's perception of us. It is entirely about how we feel about ourselves. And I think the majority of people have that same tendency to be at home in their worst clothes because nobody's going to see them. So they're just at
Yes.
home going, right, well, I don't feel great in this because, it's comfy, but it doesn't make me feel great about myself. I know I do it on occasion. Like I'll put on like massive joggers and a big sweatshirt and I'll just be like slobbing about and I'll have socks pulled on over the top. And I'm like, I'm verging on looking homeless. It's not a vibe. And if I catch a glimpse of myself in the mirror, I'm like, who are you? What is that? That is not who you are. Why would you even wear that? And I think we need to get out of that kind of terrible habit and find those pieces and not be afraid to go, actually, I want to feel really glamorous and luxurious when I'm in my own home, even if I am just there by myself.
Yeah, totally agree with that. And I also think it doesn't have to just be the, sort of ultra glamorous feel. I love sweatpants as well, but I had that same thing where I would have a sweatshirt that's stained with like hair dye and my sweatpants and they're mismatched and they're ill fitted. And so I just felt terrible. And then my worst nightmare was like when you would have drop bys, like somebody would just pop over and you would be like, I have to pretend I'm not home because I can't answer the door like this. But it didn't make, like you said, it didn't make me feel good at all about myself. And it's so funny that it isn't just when you're out in the world and you're wearing something that doesn't make you feel good about yourself. It affects your confidence and you start to feel a little bit worse about yourself, or like, oh, I'm just, like you said, I'm just slobbing around. So I started to lean into the sweats and look for sweats, particularly like vintage cuts. I noticed that I really liked those vintage cuts of sweatpants where they're really high waisted and so they fit really well. They're super comfy, but they fit really well and they make you look great. And you can wear it with a cute, I was going to say a cute top, but a really nice, comfortable t-shirt. Or I love a huge hoodie, but I started investing in better quality pieces and matching sets, and that made a huge difference. So you will absolutely catch me in sweats. I still love them. But they're the sets I love, and I will go out in them and I'll still feel great in them because it's a good quality set. Or I have 90s high-waisted vintage sweatpants, and I do sometimes think, who like 30 years ago was just running around sweating in these sweatpants? But I love them anyway.
I think there's a key thing that you said in the middle of there is that you said, I will still wear sweatpants and obviously I find these vintage pieces, but I still feel good in them. And I think that's the key that a lot of people are missing. It's that they have these kind of loungewear pieces and these, mine are like paint covered and they've got dog hair on them. And I don't feel good in them. Like, I feel comfortable in them,
Mm-hmm.
but would I want to answer the door? No, I would not. So I think that's the key. It's about finding that kind of beautiful balance of pieces that are really comfortable, but that you actually feel good about yourself in as well.
Yeah.
So is there a most sentimental piece in your wardrobe? I'm guessing this was a tricky one for you because there is lots of sentimental pieces in there.
Yes. It's such a tough one. Yes, I did. I have it right here. I did pull it. So it's funny. This was a tough one for me actually because I'm a odd combination of I don't hold on to lots of things. And I think that came from I do have my vintage clothes pieces and pieces that I love, but because I was raised in America and then I moved over to the UK, I had to really get used to weeding through things and deciding what to keep and what not to keep. And so I do have my few sentimental pieces, but they're very small. But this is actually sentimental to me on behalf of somebody else. So this leather jacket, I feel like I am the sort of keeper of this jacket now. And I actually got this. I was at a car boot sale and I met the woman who sold me this jacket, and she was this really nice woman. I think she was probably about in her 50s. And this was her jacket. And she said when she was younger, when she was in her late teenage years and her early 20s, she used to be a biker and she wore this jacket every day. And every weekend she would go biking in it. And she was telling me all of the memories she had in this jacket and the boyfriends she had in this jacket and the places she went and the kind of motorcycle she had. So we had this long conversation in the middle of a field in a car boot sale about this jacket. And I thought, why are you selling this jacket? This seems like it's such an important piece in your life. And she said, well, I can't keep everything. And, I don't have any use for it. And it's just sitting there. And I thought maybe somebody else could get some use out of it. And I thought that's so true because there are those pieces that you think, yeah, it was great at the time. And I love those memories, but I just don't have any need for this in my closet anymore. But after she sort of shared all of the history of this jacket, I had to buy it because I was like, no one else is going to appreciate it as much as I appreciate it. So now I feel like I'm the guardian of this jacket. And it is quite sentimental to me because something that I love about secondhand pieces, pre-loved pieces, vintage pieces, is the history behind them. And I actually like to imagine, like, who had this? And where did it come from? And when it has like a name written on the label or something embroidered inside of it, I just love thinking about who had it before me. And the fact that I actually know makes it so much more important to me. So I'm keeping all of her memories alive in this in this leather jacket, which I think I'll put it on actually. I think it's like a pretty great leather jacket as well. So I love the way it looks also.
It's so good. I love that. What you should do is you should write her story down and keep it in one of the pockets. And then you should add to your story when you decide that you're going to pass it on to someone. You should write your story about the jacket and then pass it on, because you're so right. I love that idea when you have a vintage piece of whose was this? Where did it go? What adventures did it go on? What parties did it see? All of these fabulous things. And so you should write it down and put it into the jacket somewhere. Put it in one of the pockets and keep it in there.
I love that idea. I'm absolutely going to do that. I think that's the best idea because the reason I'm really keeping it is exactly that. I don't want the story to get lost. And then it's just one more sort of jacket that goes out there. And one of the reasons why rescuing, it's kind of how I think about it, rescuing things, is so many clothes, an insane amount of clothes end up in landfills. And you like to think that with secondhand, we're buying the clothes and we're reusing them, and not that many clothes really go to waste, but they just all flood into landfills. And so sometimes things like this, I just imagine if somebody doesn't buy it and if they don't love it, this is a piece that could just end up in a landfill somewhere, and it would just be so sad for it to be lost, because it's not just a jacket, but it's got history and it's kind of art, and then you can see all of the different scuffs where she might have fallen, or it's really worn in and it's got like some paint stains splattered on it. And so yeah, I love that idea. I think sharing its story kind of key. I could even stitch it in maybe, which I think would be very cool.
I think it's about putting the value into a piece. The piece is not just worth the perceived value of how many times you wear it, it's also the value of retaining those stories. And yes. I think if people knew the stories of their pieces, they would be less likely to just chuck them away and send them on to landfill. I think there's something in that. Somebody needs to figure out a way. You know, like you have a kind of like, you put a chip in your pet, you have a microchip in your pet that you scan. This is what they need to do with vintage. They need to put chips in the clothes so you can scan it and you can see everybody who owned it and all of the stories.
Oh my God. I feel like, don't challenge me, because that's a great idea. And I come from a tech background as well.
Perfect. We're in. We've got this.
Fabulous idea.
I would love that. I would love if that was a thing, if there was some sort of app, or it's a QR code or something, and then there's a story and it tells you the full story, and you can add to it as the new owner. You can then say, I wore this to this place and this is the story of it, because how much more value and interest would that add to everything that we bought?
Do you know, and it really makes me think of, they're like individual pieces of art. And art is absolutely that. It's perceived value. And when you know about the artist, you could see any piece of art, any painting that somebody's done, and you can think, I love this and it's beautiful and I resonate with it. But the value is purely what you put on it, versus something that you know who the artist is and you know the history and you know where it's come from and you know each person who's had it and what they've. I think that it really does make each of the vintage pieces almost a piece of art and a piece of history. And then, like you said, to be able to add your story and feel like you're adding to the history of that piece. I think that's beautiful. I love that.
We're going to look into this. It's a thing. It's a new plan.
Yeah, I love it.
What's the piece in your wardrobe you would say most sums you up?
Ooh, what most sums me up? I would say a few pieces. I'm obsessed with Japanese kimonos, or anything that looks like a kimono. So I showed you my black kimono that I have, my black Japanese kimono. But I have so many of these.
That's why they're the thing that most sums you up.
I love them. And I have to stop, and I buy the same style of pajamas all the time. I absolutely love these, and I'm obsessed with these. And this one, for instance, I'll show you the tag. This one, I believe, is from the 1970s, 1980s. And it's this brocade fabric in this soft baby blue with this beautiful inside. And it's not too long, and it's kind of sun bleached at the end as well. And this on a summer's day, I think, is stunning. And I've got, this one. I have so many of these to pull from. It's ridiculous. This one I love. Let's see if I can hang these all back up. This one has this embroidered dragon on the back, and it's just in a cotton, and it's really long, and it flows again behind you. I love the dramatic long flowing.
Same. Absolutely same.
So, with this embroidered dragon on the back, I love it. So these, I walk around the house in these. I'll wear them in the summer. these are just my absolute favorite. And there's something, because I really like a combination of comfort and basics. I really like to wear something that's just comfortable. It's a natural fiber, maybe just like a white t-shirt and some Levi jeans. But then I like to throw this over the top of it, and it adds just a pop of color and it adds a little bit of drama. So yeah, I would say it's absolutely my kimonos, which I'm adding new ones all the time, constantly, because I'm obsessed and I can't stop.
Now, do you have a fashion faux pas or a wardrobe malfunction that you would like to share?
I do. This actually goes back to pre-COVID, and it absolutely ties into, why the hell am I wearing this? Who am I wearing this for? I had a skirt. It was a high-waisted, very like mid-calf length pencil skirt. It was leather, and it was fabulous. It was stunning. It looked amazing. And it was the most uncomfortable thing to wear. And I loved it, and I couldn't get rid of it because I thought I just looked great in it. And I would wear it to the office. And every single time I would wear it, I would wear it probably every 3 to 6 months even. I had to forget the memory of wearing it by the time I would allow myself to wear it again. And as soon as I would leave the house, I would just be teetering. I couldn't.
Waddle.
Yes.
The little shuffle that you've got to do.
Like a little poodle on its hind legs. And I would just teeter all day. And if it was like an 8 or 9 hour work day, and I'm scooching along in this skirt, and it was so tight at the bottom, like if I was going upstairs, you'd have to kind of get that like side walk up the stairs. I don't know what possessed me to wear it, other than I thought it looked so fantastic. But I would get home, and my partner would tease me about it all the time, because I would get home and I would just like rip this thing off, and I would be like enraged because I would get agitated. Everything started to agitate me, and I couldn't move, and it was too tight. And I thought, God forbid I have to run for my life today, because it's never going to happen.
There's no saving you.
Just take me now. It's not. And I hated it, and I would just tear it off, and I'd go, oh my God, why did I wear this skirt? It is the worst. And I would put it back in my closet, and a number of months, like 6 months later, I would forget the memory, and I would wear it again. And this is when I started to think during COVID, why am I wearing these things? Who am I wearing this for? So I think, don't wear, if you're not comfortable, when you're wearing something really short and you're having to pull it down and you're not comfortable, just throw it out.
Yeah.
Just get rid of it. There's no point in having it.
No. Take it straight to the charity shop for somebody else to deal with.
Yeah.
Now, what are your favourite shoes?
My favorite shoes are these ones here, actually, and they're relatively new, and they're my favorites at the moment. These ones, where are these ones from? These are Bowden. These are pre-loved Bowden, and they're these little suede boots, and they've got a nice low heel, because like I said, I'm quite tall and I like comfort. So these ones are actually my favorites at the moment, because I do really like comfort in what I wear, but I like that they're nice and high. And I have been obsessed with linen all summer, obsessed with everything I wear, I think, is linen. So I think these are really beautiful with like a long linen dress that kind of drapes over them just a little bit. And I like to feel very neutral and earthy in these when I wear them. And I think anytime you get new shoes, you always feel like, these ones are my favorites now, and these ones are my favorites now. And I also think, I love my Docs, and I love just my classic Vans that I'll just be puttering around in day to day. But when I want to feel a little bit more girly, I'll wear like a nice leather boot. So I think those are my favorites right now.
That's so great. Now, is there a piece that you are lusting after, that if the vintage gods could bestow upon you, what would you have?
So it would be something from the 90s, Ralph Lauren. And I think this is the fun when you buy all pre-loved items and all vintage items. You can't just say, oh, I love that so and so, and maybe I'll save up for it and buy it. You have to wait, like you said, until the vintage gods bestowed upon you, until the universe aligns, all the stars align, and you find it. But it is a very, very, very chunky wool 1990s Ralph Lauren jumper, which you can come across, but there's very particular style. I do have one in black, but I'm looking for its sort of mirrored version in like a camel color. And it's a different sort of wool than I've ever come across before. And I am obsessed with natural fibers. I think it's the most important thing you can have in your wardrobe. Wools and cashmeres and cottons. And again, because I buy everything secondhand, you can buy things like secondhand cashmere and not feel terrible about it. I think it's ethically okay to buy things like that when you're buying secondhand. Even wool, I would really prefer to buy secondhand. But it is the heaviest. Like, you feel like you've put on a weight suit when you wear these jumpers. And so I'm looking for a camel colored one because I love to just be draped in this big billowy wool jumper. So that's what I'm really, really looking for. And I have this, like, when I find something, when I shop with other people and I find something, you'll hear me across the charity shop if I find it, because you'll just hear this like high-pitched squeal. So you'll know when I find it.
Audible shopping. I
Yes.
like that idea. Now, is there a piece of fashion advice that you would have given to your younger self?
Yes. Yes. So speaking of natural fibers, I think the absolute most important single thing that you should keep in mind when you're shopping, whether it's for new, used, vintage, if you have a huge budget, if you have a small budget, it is always buy natural fibers whenever you can. Always look for natural materials. Cotton, merino wool, nice quality chunky wools, like I said, cashmere, linen, and try to get as high of that natural material content as you can, in my opinion. And the first thing that I'll do whenever I buy secondhand is, a lot of times people will look for the label or if it fits or the size, and I'll flip it inside out immediately or look at the materials label, and I want to know what it's made of. And if I pick up a jumper and it's 100% acrylic, I'll almost always put it back. And that's when you know you're investing in a really good quality piece, because you might, if you have a fairly large budget and you're going to spend a good chunk of money on something, and it is in a synthetic fiber. And there are obviously obsessions, because you've got to have a few of the synthetic fibers mixed in, and sometimes you want something that's a combination, like a cotton poly, because it's a little bit harder wearing. So you there's a place for it. But if you're going to invest in a piece, make sure it's a natural fiber. And if you don't have a lot of money to spend, make sure you're buying natural fibers where you can. Make sure, especially if you're in a charity shop and you think, I don't know what to buy and I don't know what I should look for, start there. If you're buying 100% cotton, 100% wool, if the vintage gods are kind enough to you to find 100% cashmere, that is where you start and that's what you buy. And if you are on the fence with, should I get this, should I not get this, look at what it's made out of, and that's how you know if you should invest in it. And when I started buying in that way, I think that was the smartest decision that I've made, because everything I know, it's going to last season after season, wear after wear, you can wash it, and it's going to last absolutely forever. And when you're considering fast fashion and you think, but does it really matter if it's fast? If you're going to buy from Shein or one of those, use and abuse sort of clothing lines, just think, if you think, I love it and it looks great, what's so bad? It's cheap. it is going to fall apart. And especially if you get it in the mail, not only will it fall apart after the first wear, you probably aren't even going to make it through the first wear, because when you feel it, I think it's that moment you touch a piece that you either go, oh, that's stunning, or you think, ugh. I don't want to wear yeah, like doll clothes. So yeah, I think that's the most important advice that I could give.
That's incredible advice. Thank you so much for being a guest on Off the Hanger. You've been absolutely exceptional. I've loved it.
Oh, great. Thank you so much for having me. This has been really, really wonderful. I love all of your episodes. I listen to all of them. I'm obsessed. So thank you so much for having me on.
Oh, thank you. Well, I hope you enjoyed that. If you did, please remember to check out Off the Hanger's new Pinterest and also recommend this episode to a friend.